3, 2, 1.
God fucking damn it, God! I can't fucking take it anymore! God damn it, this Red Sox team! Welcome to episode 27 of Not Another Sox Podcast! And buenas noches, I'm Jack Webster with Matt Galveo and Matt LeBeau.
Wow. I don't even know how to follow that up.
I don't even want to hear it from Galveo. He's wicked happy right now. The Bruins tied it up 2-2. So,
Yep.
I mean, at the end of the day, like if the Red Sox are going to suck, and this is one of the worst stretches we've seen in a really long time. They're picking a perfect time to do it. You know, everyone's talking about how bad the Patriots draft was. Everyone's talking about the Bruins in the playoffs, the Celtics in the playoffs. But it's a really tough time to be a Red Sox fan, as everyone who's tuning into this episode, if there is anyone left at this point,
we might have lost every listener at this point.
I do not blame you. I do not want any part of this dog shit team right now.
Yeah. I would love to see the statistics of like a lot of the Red Sox podcasts, like just from all over.
They're all down.
Because I'm sure like a lot of people are just like not listening at this point, and they're just so frustrated. I mean, how can you not be? I mean, this weekend, did it too with this White Sox series, and it sucks. Last place is not where you want to be, especially when you're behind the Orioles. That's pretty bad. I did see this stat earlier today that the Red Sox have won the same amount of series as the Reds this year, which is not where you want to be. Especially this year. I mean, you don't want your name near the Cincinnati Reds or in the same sentence as them, because that means things are not going well for you.
Yeah, no, it's wow. It's tough to put into words. I think that if I were to put it into words somehow, I think it like when you watch this team in your head. And I hope I don't get canceled for this, but in my head, every word that you couldn't say after 2015 goes on in my head. Like that's pretty much every pitch. Yeah. Like every word that I used to say like before then, like that's what goes on in my head. Like that it's really that bad. It's gives you a headache. It just gives you like a migraine, like your body starts to hurt. Like it's grotesque. It really is grotesque.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like, every game, like, oh, this has to be rock bottom. And then there's another game where, we blow it in the ninth. Oh, then there's another game where we get shut out 1-0. Oh, and then there's another game where you think you hit a game-tying home run in the ninth, and then it's a double. And then, this horrifying loss after horrifying loss after horrifying loss just wears and tears on you when you're watching every single day. And even if you miss a game, you get caught up and, the team has just pooped the bed again. It feels like, it just keeps on getting worse and worse. And where is rock bottom?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
No, that's an excellent point. And it's like, it reminds me of 2012, where like, obviously this team is not as bad as the 2012 team, but I mean, this team is arguably less successful than the 2012 team. But in 2012, it was like you never felt like rock bottom was going to come. It was like always like, all right, this is rock bottom, and then this is rock bottom, and then this is rock bottom. And I mean, it really is just so painful to watch.
Right. Yeah, Jack, I think you said it perfectly, where you're just waiting for rock bottom to hit, and it just keeps getting worse. We've talked about it the last couple of episodes too. You're just waiting for that one moment in the season that hopefully, is kind of a turning point, and you're just not seeing it, and it's going in the opposite direction. It's like it gets worse and worse by the game, and you're just waiting for that moment where you're like, okay, let's string like just a solid performance top to bottom, and it just hasn't happened. And I feel like at some point something's got to give, or this, you're getting to the point now where it's like, all right, is this gonna click at some point? Or like, are you gonna see the turnaround, or are we just gonna keep going down. Because I mean, if you keep going down this road, it's going to get ugly, and you might be out of it by the midway point of the season. I mean, you might put yourself in a really, really bad spot that you might not be able to come out of.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, there's not much to add. I mean, they got to put themselves in a position where they can be like 500 after 70 games. Like if you can be like 35-35, then I mean you're within striking distance and you're fine. Like it's still really early, and it feels like that's not the case because you look at the calendar and it's May 8th, and it's like wow, like May 8th is like not early at all. But I mean, they've played 29 games. So am I ready to give up? Absolutely not. But does this suck to be a part of? Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I mean, you don't want to press the panic button quite yet, but things need to start turning around pretty much immediately if you want to have any chance of, making the playoffs. I mean, even really feels like the division's out of line. We're 10.5 games back on April 8th right now, or sorry, May 8th right now. And that's a lot of ground to make up. I mean, obviously, Yankees are overperforming. We're underperforming right now. Not to make any excuses, but, even if we get to 500, we still have a lot of ground to make up. And that's going to take a few good weeks of baseball to even catch up to 500. We're 9 games below right now. So, and a negative 23 run differential, the same as the Baltimore Orioles. So it's back up against the wall right now, to say the least.
But like the thing is, you don't need to be 500 in May. Like you can kind of just like stumble through May, maybe finish out well, and then in June, if you can get to 500, I mean, you're within striking distance. I mean, if you look at some of the teams that have won World Series, and obviously, I'm not saying that this team's going to have a turnaround and win the World Series, but if you do historically look at some of the teams that did win, they were 40-40 or 29-39. Like it happens plenty of times. The Marlins of 03, the Nationals 2019, Braves last year, and a lot more. And then on top of that, not just teams that won the World Series, but teams that made the playoffs where they maybe started out like 20-30. There's plenty of teams like that. I think baseball, because there's so many games, you get caught up in every single game being so massive. But if this was a football season, right? How far are you into it for a football season? You have 16 weeks, so this would be the equivalent of starting what?
This is game 29 out of 162 today, so
this would be equivalent of starting
game 3 essentially. Yeah.
So this would be 1-3. You start 1-3. Season's not over if you start 1-3. No. I mean, same thing for basketball. It's like, all right, is your season over if you start 9 I mean, I don't fucking know. 7-14. Like what? I don't fucking know. Who cares? Does anyone watch NBA regular season? No, but like they're not out of it. They need a lot of fixing, but they're certainly not out of it. With the talent that they have, the management that they have, and the farm system that they have to help maybe bring in some guys, they're certainly not out of it. Absolutely
not. I know we've talked about him a lot. He's been kind of a theme, and it's been Bobby Dahlbeck.
Gotta go.
Obviously, his struggles are continuing. I think it's time to do something.
Oh,
DFO.
GTFO.
I thought you meant DF. I thought you were trying to say DF.
No, GTFO. Get the fuck out.
Oh, I didn't hear the G. Yeah, he's got to go. He's got to go. He's just got to go. It's Bobby time is over. It was fun, not really, but 2020 was like hopeful, and then that stretch last year where he was like the best player on planet Earth, that was also actually really fun to watch, but he's just not a good enough player.
It's yeah, I mean, and that's a guy that we looked at, when we previewed the season, that as a guy that could have a breakout year, and it just hasn't happened for him, and he's really struggling right now. At what point do you kind of tap to Worcester or not Worcester, but you look at Cassius, and where at what point do you maybe try to bring him up and see if there's anything there. I mean, it sucks because you don't want to just throw him into kind of a mess right now. I mean, that's kind of a guy that you want to be a little bit careful with, but, maybe at least just doing something, some kind of change here.
So from everything that it sounds like from Bloom and from the organization, they're not going to call him up anytime soon, and not just because Bobby Dahlbeck is absolute fucking dog shit. So we're probably going to have to wait till middle of the summer at the earliest to see him. He still has a little bit to go from what I understand, but one thing that Bloom pointed out even during his press conference today is, Casas hasn't really had an extended time at any level because he jumped from AA to the Olympics to AAA, and mentioned that the Casas needed to see how the league responded to him. But that also kind of feels like what they didn't do with Bobby Dahlbeck, where they had him play 30 games in AAA in 2019, had him play in fucking Pawtucket's parking lot in 2020, called him up, and then never got him any actual adjustments to the league. So I guess they don't want to make the same mistake twice with Casas, but it's almost like anybody else except for Bobby Dahlbeck right now, unfortunately.
Well, I think that's a good way to look at it. Like, why not bring in someone from the outside who can be just a body, like who can be as good as Dahlbeck, and let Dahlbeck go back down to AAA and take some swings there, and maybe he can figure it out. I think it might even play to his benefit. Like, they're treating him like a guy who's out of options. Like, if they send him down, he's going to be DFA'd. Like, that's not the case. Like, he has options. No. He can go down, work on his swing, try to find it, and then he can come back up when he's ready. It doesn't have to be Casas. It can be someone else. And he doesn't have to play first at AAA. If you want to get Casas the reps in Worcester, then you can put Bobby at second or in right or DH or in third. Like, move him around the diamond a little bit, get him some reps, just get him some swings, DH him here and there. Who knows? Fucking maybe throw him behind the plate. I don't know. I mean, Red Sox need a catcher. Christian Vasquez stinks. Yeah. I mean, like, just get him some at bats down in Worcester so he can figure things out. Sign someone who's a right-handed bat, because now you have like a platoon situation with Mr. French, and I think that that's probably the plan. I don't understand it. I don't know. I don't understand it.
Yeah, like, how long is the leash, and like why is the leash this long in the first place? I mean, it's first base. I feel like it shouldn't be that difficult to get positive production out of your first baseman. I feel like that historically has been a dime a dozen, where you could just sign Billy Butler for nothing and, have him platoon at first base. But it's kind of infuriating. You have Franchi Cordero, who is not a natural first baseman, who's actually looked all right there. But, when you have Bobby Dahlbeck coming out into the game and striking out, 4 pitches with the game-winning run at third base, it's unacceptable. You need to at least, be competitive in that at-bat, and that just didn't happen, and that's happened at so many points this season.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, maybe I don't know what the free agent market is looking like right now. If there's anybody that's potentially available, or I mean, maybe you can go the trade route as well. I know you just find somebody out there, because that something's got to give for sure. I mean, it's not going to get any easier going forward. That's for sure. I mean, I don't know what the schedule's looking like right now, but I know there's not a lot of division games. I know that you got the Braves this week, and then you got the Rangers. So yeah, I mean, schedule obviously is not going to get easy, and you at some point you got to figure this out. And I think people are just kind of looking for kind of a breaking point here. So it's,
yeah, I mean, kind of like we were saying before, where is rock bottom? Like, you would have to imagine it's here, because even if you start losing more, then you at least have an idea where this team is going for the season. You can't keep treading water like this and drowning deeper into the division if you want to have an actual chance. We saw last year, literally, it was one game against the Yankees that we ended up winning that decided home field advantage in that wild card game. And I mean, if you're that even last spot now, you're having to face the best teams all throughout the playoffs, all on the road. You're not doing yourself any favors. So right now is, as critical time in the season as really any time you're going to see for the rest of the year. And I mean, it's not the way you want to be playing right now.
No, it's not. And the pressure is mounting. Obviously, the local media has been all over the Red Sox. And then you have small, outlets of media like us and other podcasts and Twitter accounts. And the pressure, you obviously as a player, you have to find a way to tune it out. I know it's really, really hard. It's everywhere. But you just have to find a way. And for a guy like Trevor Story, I mean, I could see how it could be tough. Like,
he's had it pretty bad.
Yeah, he has, and
Yeah.
everyone's already comparing him to Carl Crawford, which around these parts is like saying fucking Voldemort. Like, that must be really tough for him because these guys, like, dude, they follow the league. They've followed the league for a long time. They know, players. They know history. They know teams. They know fan bases, and like for Trevor Story to see those things and hear those things, I mean, it's probably not easy. So. I think you just got to give him some more time. Like, he had a lot of shit happen at spring training, and I mean, it's not that big of a deal. He's not hitting, but he'll dig himself out of it. He'll be fine. I think that this offense will be fine. I just hope, my only fear for this team is that when the offense does come around, which eventually it will, that then the pitching doesn't start to slide.
Yeah.
So, which obviously they have no situational pitching whatsoever. I mean, they have zero back end of the bullpen. It's really, really tough to watch. They have the most blown saves by, I think, double the second most blown saves, the next team. So no situational pitching, but at least the starting pitching has been good enough.
3:15 entering today, and obviously Houck had that kind of emergency start with Waka hitting the IL, but the pitching outside of the back end hasn't really been the problem. It has been the offense. I think everybody can kind of realize that. But even Diekman and Robles haven't been solid for you recently. You have to depend on Matt Strom to be essentially your closer, your back end guy, and he was a guy that was an afterthought when we picked him up at the beginning of spring training or right before right after the lockout. So
Sawamura has been brutal.
Yeah, Sawamura. You can't really, even dog on someone like Sawamura because you weren't expecting him to throw important innings this year. But someone like Matt Barnes, where you can't put him out in the 10th inning, he's going to give up that runner on second and then another few runs. I don't see why we keep trying this experiment and keep failing at it. It's unfortunate.
Are you guys at the point
where
are you guys at the point where you just,
but yeah.
Are you guys at the point where you just eat the 18 million?
Yeah.
Like, it's not gonna kill you. You're the Red Sox. You can afford it, but it's literally hurting us to have Matt Barnes out on the mound, especially in high leverage situations. If you just want to throw him out in a blowout game at this point, who cares? But yeah.
Yeah, I know. He mentioned it himself too. He said after one of the games this week that he's got to figure shit out and he's got to dig himself out of this. But I mean, you can't really at this point you can't really afford to keep throwing him out there and then having him pitch poorly and having him cost you games or having throwing him out there, just putting him in putting your team in bad situations when he's out there obviously pitching the way he has been. So I mean, at some point I think it might be time to pull the plug on the Matt Barnes experience because we've said it countless times. It's since the All-Star break last year, he still hasn't dug himself out of it. So I mean, I think it might be time.
Pull the plug, please. Pull the plug. And send him to fucking Pittsburgh or Tokyo. I don't give a fuck. I want Matt Barnes far away from this ball club. And I think if there was one player I could get rid of right now, I think it'd be Matt Barnes, honestly. And I hate
Barnes,
to say that because
Matt Barnes to the Dinos.
He's
No.
no, Jack doesn't even want him on anywhere near the fucking Dinos.
Drew Rachinsky is so much better than Matt Barnes right now.
Honestly, like it sucks to think because he is a guy that the Red Sox developed, and he is kind of like, he's a local guy, even though he's a Connecticut fucking douchebag. He is a local guy, and I do like him. I think if there was one guy that another guy that sticks out to me is Christian Vasquez, and not because of what he brings, but because like Alex Cora and Red Sox management has just been brainwashed to think that Christian Vasquez is this elite level defender. And like, he's not a bad defensive catcher by any means, but he's certainly not good enough to be that bad offensively. So I think he gets a long leash because he's been the Red Sox catcher for the better part now of what, 7 years, 6.5 years.
2014, I want to say, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what? That's almost 8.
Yeah.
8. I don't think 2014. They had, I think they had AJ. They had AJ Przinsky in 2014, I think.
Yeah, and Vasquez replaced AJ.
There you go. So 7 years. I mean, that's crazy longevity, but he's just not a good offensive player. He's just not. Anyone that did good in 2020, you suck. You weren't actually ever a good ball player if you did good in 2020. Like, you just took advantage of there being no pressure, no crowds, nothing. Bobby Dahlbeck, Christian Vasquez, fucking
Martin Perez.
Martin Perez.
And if you sucked in 2020, that's even worse on you.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's just a question of, where do you go with this team now? What do you do? What can you do?
You just gotta hope they figure it out.
Yeah, literally, I
think if one of us had the answer to that question, we'd be up in the front office right now.
I do have one thing that I would like to at least see, one suggestion I would like to try out. And I think that Tanner Houck's had a rough start to the year, but I think that his issue is I don't think he's necessarily made to be like a starting pitcher. Maybe down the line when he can figure things out, but I think he has the tendency to just have the wheels fall off a little bit. I'd like to see Tanner Houck come in like a high leverage situation later in the game. Like, give me 8th inning or 9th inning. Like, come in as a closer. See what happens.
Yeah.
Because he's really hard to hit for that one inning. Like, when he comes in, he's got that devastating slider, and he's got a really hard fastball, and he's got a really tough release point. I think as a closer, especially if you came all day with guys who kind of throw soft, like he came with Walker or whatever, Austin Davis, and then you put Tanner Houck in the 9th inning. I mean, I know it's kind of a waste of resources in a sense, because I think he probably is better off for this organization as a starter or like a long reliever. But I think you just got to try it. Just try it.
No, and I hear a lot of people saying, Whitlock should go back to that back end just because, we need a guy there right now. And I agree with you. I think Houck has that ability to be a very late inning guy, even if it's for, maybe 2 innings plus out of the bullpen. But I don't think, if you're worried about development for Cassis or anybody else, that you should stop Garrett Whitlock from starting. That's clearly his future. He's done well there. I know we're 0-3 in his starts, but none of that is really his fault. So I would like to see, more out of him. I think he went, 5+ innings the other night. If he can do that again, coming up in Atlanta, and then, beyond that, I think, this is going to be a very valuable piece for us. And that does allow you to have Houck in the bullpen as a late inning guy, hopefully. And, maybe that role sticks and you can have a closer for cheap.
Yeah. No, I like it. I think that's a start. And then the other thing is you just got to hit better. Like there's no even though you might get some help, right? Like say they make a couple acquisitions, maybe they grab someone a little earlier, then they grab someone at the deadline, and then all of a sudden in September, now Cassis is up, and maybe then you make a run. Or August Cassis comes up. Now you got some help. Now you acquired someone at the deadline. You filled your hole at first base, and I think that you're going to get a little help later in the season, but you're not going to get any help like right now, any significant help right now. You're going to help yourself by just simply hitting better. That's what you need to do. That's all you need to do is just hit better. And again, to say, time and time again, everyone wants to bury this Red Sox team. Everyone's ready to have a funeral for this Red Sox team. The local media, the Sports Hub is having an absolute field day. The national media is having a field day. Dude, John Heyman the other day. One thing I just want to bring up.
Here we go. I love it.
The Red Sox fans, anyone who follows Major League Baseball closely has known that Xander Bogaerts is going to opt out of his contract after this year since 2019. All John Heyman did was a well-timed article that we've known for the past 3.5 years just to further bury the Red Sox. They want to see the Red Sox dead and buried. And honestly, they're not dead yet. Like they're 10-19. That sucks to look at. That's brutal to look at. Yes, they're in last place, but you win. Give me 7 of 10. Now you're what? You win. Say you win 7 of 10. Now you're what? 17 and 22.
Yeah.
17 and 22. Then you maybe go 5 and 5. Then you're a little 500. Whatever. Then you make a little run. Now you're all of a sudden you're 500. You're right there. And with the expanded playoffs, all you got to do is pretty much until July, just hang around. Yeah. If you're 500 in July, and then you get Cassis coming up, and then you make a trade acquisition at the deadline, you're right there. Don't let the media bury the Red Sox. I know it sucks, but don't let it happen.
Still very early. We're only a month in, so sky's not falling yet. Sky's not falling yet. Even though if you listen to 98.5, they're I think they already had a funeral this week.
They love this. They love it.
Yeah, they love the misery.
They're just so focused on the C's and the B's right now that thankfully the Red Sox have just taken such a back burner. But, once the playoffs are over for both of those teams, hopefully with the championships, all the focus is going to be on the Sox for the entire summer. And you want it to actually be a positive one at Fenway Park and at least be competitive throughout the year. So, it's going to be an uphill battle. We can still do it. This team is not dead yet. We're not having a funeral, but it's just been deflating to watch over the last 2-3 weeks specifically.
Right. Don't get me wrong. This team is 30 and 50. They're done. It's over.
Yeah.
You're not even going to finish 500 at that point. It's just another last place year, 66 and 96, whatever it is. That's what it's going to be like that. But if they're like 35 and 41, like they're not dead. And they're not even like 35 and 41. Like I'd be sad. And there's a chance they're that, but there's also a chance that they're 41 and 35. Like right. they hit it. If they hit, they string together some big offensive games. You know what they need? They need a walk-off, or they need like a big road, like 9th inning, bases clearing double, down 2 runs with 2 outs, and then a big save, which arguably I think maybe is even a better momentum shifter. And yes, momentum is real. A bigger momentum shifter than like a walk-off, because then you got like the big hit in the top half, and then you got the big save in the bottom half. I think that's what they need.
I mean, yeah, I feel like, this homestand was the perfect time to do it. Like, there was the chance, the other night with runners in scoring position to get that walk-off, and it didn't happen. And there's been plenty of other times where you could have blown the door open, and a lot of those games, or at least made it competitive, where that big hit has just never happened. We haven't had that season defining moment to rally around. So hopefully that comes soon. We got another, tough road stretch here, starting with the Braves on Tuesday. Thankfully, we have Monday off, so we don't have to watch another day of this fucking team right now. And the Yankees have 23 games in 22 days, so hopefully that slows them down a little bit too.
Right.
You got the Braves and you got the Rangers, two very talented teams, but they're also underperforming. You have 2 days off this week to get your head right. And then you face a tough team in the Houston Astros, which that series will be fun. So you have a good, just looking forward to like the next week, right? You have a good week to just play good baseball. You don't even need like that. That's the thing about this to build out of this. Like if you play a good game and you just get beat, maybe by a good pitcher, that's okay. Like it's still early in the season. Wins and losses are obviously important, but just play good baseball. Get to a point where you're feeling good about your game, get some confidence, and then you can make a run. Because all of it can turn around in the blink of an eye. They could win 14 of 16, and then all of a sudden they're in second place, and they're in a playoff spot. Again, with the expanded playoffs, you're never really out of it. So, I don't think anyone thinks this Red Sox team is this bad, but like I said, obviously it's tough to watch.
It is, but I feel like this might be all brewing for, a nice comeback story. Everyone's burying this team right now. But man, that switch flips. You never know. They have a big month. They have hopefully a good rest of the month here, and then they have a big June, and then hopefully July you're in a good position. And you go from there. And like you mentioned, LeBeau, you add a couple pieces there, and you're right there, with everyone else. And this next, for a month and a half is going to be big, right before July. I mean, this is a critical point in the season, especially given the way it's gone right now. So these next, 6, 7, 8 weeks, are going to be crucial.
Yeah. I mean, what else is there really left to say at this point? Like, there's no point in, looking over all these games or anything. So, we do have some of our fans' thoughts here from Twitter. We have to legally start off with Kyle Sullivan. It's the law plan. I think Twitter even makes it so that he's the first one that we see here. So
I think he could sue us if we didn't actually say his comment first. So
he could.
Yeah.
So the offense needs to wake up, plain and simple. A few bad pitching outings happen. But what has kept us out of games is the offense. Pee poo poo. Kyle, you're out of Kyle, your favorite listener. So he's right about that. Zach, Zoidberger, if we had a closer and someone that could hit in right field, as there's a deep drive into left field by Castellanos, and that'll be a home run. So that'll make a 4-0 ball game. I don't know if I'm going to be putting on this headset again. So well said. Yeah. Kyle Morris with the spray chart of Bobby D here. As you might imagine, it's sparse. It seems like Bobby's D issues that he's late on all the pitches. I'm not sure if they've adjusted his mechanics. He's hit it just about everywhere, but to the everything to the opposite field. He's so much better when he pulls the ball. So, do what I do in MLB The Show, where I just try to pull a home run every single at bat. I don't see how that can really hurt Bobby Dahlbeck at this point.
How does that work for you?
Yeah. Just hit a home run. Just hit a home run. You're gonna strike out anyways. Just hit a home run. From Sean Lane here, I think we even touched upon this a little bit here. Trevor Story is the new Carl Crawford. I can't wait for them to pay him to go away in a year. Thanks, Heim. I think it's very premature for that.
Very early.
And I know there was the issue with him missing out on the media the other day, but he doesn't seem like quite the Carl Crawford type. Not yet, at least. So, I think that's, like I said, premature. I'm not really going to blame people that are annoyed with Trevor Story, but Carl Crawford was way worse.
Yeah.
Big fan of the show, Tim John. This team is destroying my liver. I'll drink to that.
Yep. Shout out Tim John. Great kid.
Fitimo
He's
Pena,
another
pee
big
poo
fan.
poo. Agreed. Corey, we need to trade for a closer. The offense will eventually wake up. Let's hope the starting pitching continues to be good. I mean, it's just where are you going to get a closer at this point, and is that really going to save this team? I hope it would, but you kind of need to figure out a few more things than that than just the closer, I feel.
Yeah. I mean, I think Hauk's probably your best bet at this point. I think Whitlock's too valuable just to be the closer.
Just
maybe Sale when he comes back. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, honestly, maybe if he comes back.
If he ever pitches again.
My God, that's right.
Matt with a bunch of numbers. Well, I don't see us getting better. Henry too cheap. We got a good future. People got to give Story time, and we need to re-sign Raffy. That was all over the place, lol. So, yeah.
That was a lot of points. I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, so, I got a sentence here. So, all those things I think are honestly fair. What more can you really invest in this team that's actually going to make us better and a World Series contender without, mortgaging the farm in a way?
Yeah, I just don't think you can mortgage the farm, and the simple reason is the fact that you just don't know what's going to happen with Devers and Bogarts. If you had these guys locked down for long periods of time, then you could be a little more flexible with the Jeter Downs and Nick Yorks, Blaze Jordan. Maybe have a little fun with that. But dude, you might be looking at a situation where you need to fill shortstop and third base in back-to-back off seasons.
Yeah.
And then finally here from Bryn, the Orsillo curse is real. Even the customers that are Red Sox fans agree with me. 4-13 since the Don Orsillo snub.
Wow.
That's
fair.
A
stat.
Yeah.
That's a stat right there.
A lot of negative energy around this ball club right now, and that was the kickoff. There was really the Red Sox play, like on-field play, wasn't really even talked about then because it was so early, and it was like, all right,
Yeah.
I mean, they were like hovering around 500, which is totally fine. So, and now, I mean, it was that, and now it's this, and now it's go time. Like, you get a day off, fucking go home, kiss your wife, tell her you love her, and put your fucking big boy pants on and come to the yard ready to play. Because if you don't, someone's going to literally take your job. And that goes for everyone on this team. Everyone that is a position player on this team, with the exception of Devers. I'd like to say Bogarts. I think he's their best player, but like they could trade him because he's so tradable right now because he's in the last year of his deal.
Yeah.
Like, he's the most obvious to be traded. So I think the only one that's safe, Devers, Verdugo. Devers and Verdugo are literally the only ones that I don't think are in jeopardy of losing their starting job. JD and X, last year's their contract. They could be traded.
I don't see them giving up on Story quite yet. He might.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I forgot about Story. Obviously, he's not going anywhere. They can't get rid of him. So I'm not saying that they would want to. I think that you should give him a lot of time. But Devers, Verdugo, and Story, those are the only three. That's it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, this team might look a lot different in 2023, not to get too far ahead, but this season does not only affect, this year, it affects how you see the team moving forward and the strategy that we're going to use to win a World Series. So it's like I was saying, it's a critical time of year, even if, you don't think about being early May being that, but it will shape how the team is looking by the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, next year could be Devers, Downs, Cassis, Story in the infield.
Brian Bayo starting.
Bayo.
No hitter the other day. That was cool.
Yeah, no, he's actually awesome. I mean, honestly, Chaim Bloom deserves a lot of criticism. Like, this team has JBJ, Kevin Pilecki, Christian Vasquez, Christian Arroyo, Bobby Dahlbeck. Like this, he deserves a ton of criticism. I don't care what anyone says. And I'm a big Chaim Bloom fan, but you cannot criticize him with how well he's done with this farm system. I mean, it's completely rebuilt. Completely rebuilt.
Yep. So we're not. I don't think we're gonna fall into the same depths of like 2014, 2015, but it's not enjoyable.
No.
What else are you gonna say?
Yeah,
Big road trip here. So
they'll be back. They'll be back. The Red Sox will be back. They'll be back.
Starts on
Cowboy
Tuesday.
up. Cowboy up.
Woo!
Go Bruins.
Atlanta.
Go Bruins. And
Yeah.
also Shooty Hoops.
Yeah.
Yep, go Celtics.
Big week. Big week ahead. So it starts on Tuesday. Starts on Tuesday, the turnaround against Atlanta.
Big turnaround. Here we go.
Yeah. I'm in the corner watching you kiss her.
Peace.
Whoa.